The acrid stench of my burned house lingered in my hair as she strutted confidently into my courtroom that day. There I sat, as Judge Miriam Blackwood, in black robes with gavel ready, facing the arsonist who targeted me. The sheer audacity of her actions caused my teeth to clench tightly in barely contained judicial rage. But Bryn Ashworth Sterling remained completely unaware of the dangerous legal trap she had boldly walked into. When you commit arson against the judge's home, pray she never gets the opportunity to retaliate legally. I was prepared to deliver a full course of relentless justice, served with lengthy federal prison sentences. This entitled HOA president believed torching my house would finally silence my opposition forever. Instead, her crime ignited an unstoppable fire within me to dismantle her vast criminal operations completely. I had meticulously documented every single illegal fine, fraudulent claim, and vicious intimidation tactic used. What would you do if your worst enemy delivered themselves directly into your legal hands? Where are you tuning in from today as this intense story of revenge unfolds dramatically? Because this tale of brutal justice and karma is about to get extremely satisfying. 6 months before my home became a devastating crime scene, I was respected Judge Miriam Blackwood. I had just buried my beloved husband Harold after cancer slowly took him from me. Our cozy 1940s craftsman house in Pinewood Estates suddenly felt empty and painfully lonely without him. Pinewood was once a welcoming place for blue-collar families and retired teachers with gardens. Then wealthy newcomers arrived and began tearing down modest homes for massive luxury. Old residents like Walt Henderson watched their property taxes rise dramatically under new pressures. Enter Bryn Ashworth Sterling, the entitled queen of this aggressive neighborhood gentrification movement. Imagine the worst suburban nightmare combined with designer clothes and an overwhelming God complex. At 45, she drove an expensive Tesla and sipped costly smoothies while judging others. She moved in 2 years ago with her contractor husband, planning to transform everything. Her goal was to elevate Pinewood by removing anyone she deemed undesirable or unworthy. My first direct encounter with Bryn occurred while installing Harold's planned memorial privacy fence. We had designed this 6-foot barrier together during his difficult final months of life. It would create our private sanctuary for quiet mornings watching beautiful sunrises together. The sweet fragrance of his carefully tended prize roses filled the crisp morning air. 15 years of his loving cultivation kept them blooming vibrantly, despite his absence. The sharp crunch of expensive boots on fallen leaves suddenly announced her unwelcome arrival. "You must be the widow," she said coldly, without any condolences or proper introduction. "Judge Blackwood," I corrected firmly, while wiping rich soil from my tired hands, calmly. "Right, the judge," she replied, pronouncing my title like it was something distasteful. "I'm Bryn, HOA president, and we have a serious problem with your fence." She dramatically extended her pink tape measure with a sharp metallic snapping sound. She measured my fence height with exaggerated precision and pursed lips of disapproval. It was allegedly 2 inches over the 6-foot maximum allowed by regulations. I stood up slowly as my aching vertebrae popped from grief and exhaustion. "Show me the exact regulation," I demanded with deliberate calm authority in my voice. Her manicured fingers rummaged through her leather portfolio, searching for the cited rule. After several minutes, she found nothing because no such regulation actually existed. My fence was exactly 6 feet, as confirmed by a licensed professional surveyor. "Well," she huffed angrily as her face reddened beneath her perfect spray tan. "We'll see about that, Judge," she threatened with clear venom in her tone. That evening, over simple leftovers and Harold's favorite bourbon, I reviewed old court records. 3 years earlier, her husband's company faced my bench for contractor fraud attempts. They tried scamming an elderly veteran out of thousands for unnecessary roof repairs. I ruled strongly against them and referred the case for full fraud investigation. This fence dispute was clearly personal revenge, disguised as HOA enforcement actions. But Bryn had made a grave error targeting a seasoned federal judge like me. I had spent 20 years sentencing serious criminals without ever flinching once. I had watched my soulmate die with dignity while honoring his final wishes. Now I had absolutely nothing left to lose in this escalating neighborhood war. I fully understood how to weaponize the legal system against determined opponents. Harold's rough fence posts under my palm reminded me of our shared dreams. We built this barrier to protect sacred memories of our life together. Bryn Ashworth Sterling had foolishly declared war on a judge's personal sanctuary. In legal terms, this level of stupidity qualified as prime federal case evidence. She had no clue about the powerful forces she had just unleashed. Within 2 weeks, Bryn escalated to full psychological warfare using HOA rules. She had mastered every tactic from the playbook of petty neighborhood tyrants. Certified letters began arriving regularly in thick, intimidating manila envelopes daily. My apologetic mailman delivered 7 registered violation notices in just 10 days. First notice targeted Harold's simple granite memorial stone in our garden. It read in memory of love that grows eternal, but violated aesthetic rules. Second, notice complained about my long-standing standard mailbox color creating visual discord. Third notice claimed excessive bird feeding was causing unacceptable nuisance conditions. My modest feeder attracted beautiful cardinals that had been Harold's favorite birds. Watching them became my comforting morning ritual with steaming hot coffee. Each absurd letter demanded fines from $200 to $500. They threatened property liens and aggressive legal action if not paid immediately. The expensive paper likely cost more than many of the alleged violations. 20 years on the bench taught me Colorado HOA statutes thoroughly. These notices contained numerous legal flaws and procedural violations throughout. Real fines must be reasonable, properly documented, and follow hearing procedures. Bryn's citations referenced non-existent rules and skipped required due process steps. It was time for me to launch a calculated judicial counterattack strategy. I spent 3 evenings in Harold's basement office, surrounded by law books. I built a strong case with photographs and detailed violation spreadsheets. My evidence preservation skills were now weaponized against her illegal actions. But Bryn escalated further with even more brazen criminal behavior soon. One morning while I was downtown sentencing offenders, my cameras captured everything. Bryn arrived with her interior designer and personal trainer as entourage. They spent hours manufacturing fake evidence of non-existent property violations. The designer pointed dramatically at Harold's beautiful prize roses in disgust. The trainer took official-looking notes on clipboards pretending professional inspection. I watched the infuriating footage that evening with growing intense rage. They were creating fraudulent documentation to support completely baseless fines. In courtroom terms, this qualified as conspiracy to commit serious fraud. Then elderly neighbor Walt Henderson knocked urgently on my door, worried. He whispered that Bryn was systematically targeting many vulnerable residents. She forced the Rodriguez family to remove their religious garden statue. They faced $800 in fines until they finally sold. A single mom was fined heavily for children's harmless driveway chalk art. The clear pattern targeted anyone not fitting Bryn's perfect suburban vision. Hispanic families, single mothers, elderly on fixed incomes, and me. This was discrimination hidden behind HOA bureaucracy and illegal fines. I had discovered a large criminal enterprise operating in my neighborhood. My pen scratched furiously, documenting these revelations in Harold's quiet office. Good legal strategy requires precision, method, and devastating effective execution. I prepared to perform major surgery on Bryn's petty tyranny kingdom. She had targeted someone who could dismantle her using legal tools. Harold joked judges were referees, with law degrees and attitudes. Time to show this HOA tyrant real consequences of her actions. Bryn's escalation soon crossed firmly into clear felony criminal territory. She decided manufactured violations weren't enough, and chose breaking and entering. She struck while I was sentencing a domestic abuser downtown. Cameras captured her illegal emergency property inspection in full detail. She strutted through my backyard in yoga pants, measuring everything aggressively. She peered closely into my kitchen window, shading her eyes curiously. But worst, she deliberately left my back gate wide open intentionally. Footage showed her yanking it open, ensuring the latch wouldn't catch. She walked away with a smug, satisfied expression on her face. When I returned home exhausted, I discovered my cat Gavel missing. This 14-year-old tabby was Harold's final precious gift to me. He comforted Harold during painful chemotherapy sessions with gentle purring. He was my last living connection to 28 years of marriage. Panic overwhelmed me as I searched desperately, calling his name everywhere. I spent 3 full days checking alleys and drains in panic. Walt organized neighborhood search parties with concerned, caring residents. Even the displaced Rodriguez family returned to help find him. Then the veterinary clinic called with devastating news about Gavel. He was found severely injured with broken ribs and extreme dehydration. Emergency surgery cost $800 to save his fragile life. Injuries were consistent with being terrorized by powerful lawn equipment. Bryn's crew used industrial leaf blowers chasing him after she left gate open. They terrorized my traumatized cat, driving him into dangerous areas. This wasn't mere harassment anymore, but attempted animal murder essentially. But Bryn committed multiple serious felonies against a federal judge. I changed all locks, installed signs, and filed criminal charges immediately. Then I contacted investigative journalist Sarah Morgan from Channel 7. Her expose aired revealing Bryn's targeting of minorities and elderly. It included footage of trespassing and the attack on my cat. Community response was overwhelmingly supportive and completely nuclear in intensity. Donations flooded in for vet bills and potential legal battles. Multiple law firms offered pro bono services to fight back. Colorado Attorney General discussed possible civil rights violation charges. 5 more families courageously came forward with their horror stories. Elderly residents forced to remove memorial gardens under threats. Disabled families fined into financial ruin over necessary accessibility ramps. Pattern of targeting based on ethnicity, age and income clear. Unlawful entry with intimidation carried severe burglary-level penalties. Animal cruelty charges could stack with conspiracy involving multiple people. Bryn's crew actions created potential federal RICO predicate offenses. That evening gavel purred softly against my chest, recovering slowly. I drafted criminal complaints to end Bryn's terror reign permanently. Judges have authority-long memories and understand perfect timing. Time to show this suburban terrorist real federal justice consequences. Bryn's desperation escalated dramatically when facing serious federal charges soon. She attempted to destroy my career with false discipline complaints. The official letter arrived alleging abuse of judicial authority. I trended as activist judge terrorizing patriotic neighborhood associations. Comment sections demanded my impeachment, disbarment, and worse threats. For 72 hours, my 20-year career faced intense scrutiny. Then retired FBI agent Pat Donnelly arrived with crucial evidence. She brought photographs revealing Bryn's multiple false identities nationwide, previous insurance fraud claims in Phoenix, and other locations documented. She had embezzled funds and prepared fires in multiple states. Current application used false identity constituting federal mail fraud. Her house was grossly overvalued for massive insurance payouts. HOA presidency allowed access to community funds for theft. Harassment was distraction while preparing large-scale insurance fraud. My house was targeted for arson to trigger dual payouts. She was a fugitive violating witness protection program rules. Multiple charges including witness protection fraud carried heavy sentences. Add multi-state fraud, conspiracy, identity theft, and attempted arson. She faced potential life without parole in federal prison. I reviewed evidence transforming personal case into major RICO. Bank records showed hundreds of thousands missing from HOA. Insurance lies triggered perjury and civil rights violations. She researched my vulnerabilities to create perfect victim profile, but she miscalculated targeting a judge with federal connections. Patience combined with overwhelming force at right moment wins. Time for federal justice, personal, permanent, and completely merciless. My kitchen became war room with Pat Walt and attorney. Former prosecutor Rebecca Morgan joined with paralegals and plans. We outlined 3-pronged attack: federal, state, and civil rights. Federal charges included mail wire fraud, identity theft, RICO, state prosecution for arson, animal cruelty, and local crimes. Civil rights for systematic targeting of protected classes. Emergency injunctions froze HOA accounts, protecting community funds. Criminal complaints filed simultaneously in multiple jurisdictions. Protective surveillance arranged for vulnerable targeted residents. Technical upgrades turned security into evidence collection system. Bryn continued committing crimes, providing real-time evidence. Insurance notifications triggered audits, destroying her credibility. By midnight we built machine for complete criminal annihilation. Cornered criminals escalate, so protection was priority always. Tomorrow, Bryn would face consequences of her catastrophic stupidity. Bryn responded with attempted arson turning neighborhood dangerous. Unmarked trucks arrived with professional crew, setting exceptions. Cameras captured everything, including placement for fire spread. Bryn arrived with news crew claiming safety concerns. Ironically, fire marshals spotted planted evidence and refused cooperation. She attempted bribery, captured on body camera fully. Community documented everything, providing overwhelming witness evidence. Warrants issued, assets frozen under RICO forfeiture rules. Her planted evidence became proof of premeditated conspiracy. Bribery added federal corruption charges, stacking sentences higher. That evening, evidence guaranteed prison for entire enterprise. Attempted murder of judge carried biblical-level consequences. The explosion at night destroyed my house completely. I watched from neighbors as memories burned intensely. Professional arson created maximum destruction for insurance claims. Security captured crew and timing of ignition perfectly. Insurance claim filed before fire started, proving premeditation. Bryn appeared at scene performing fake concern dramatically. Arrests happened at dawn, broadcast nationally for all. Charges included attempted murder, arson, fraud and RICO. Assets seized for victim restitution across multiple states. Community supported me as justice finally prevailed strongly. Bryn created evidence that ensured her permanent imprisonment. 7 days later, Bryn appeared in court in custody. Irony perfect, as she faced charges in my building. Courtroom packed with agents, prosecutors, and victim families. Charges listed multiple identities and extensive criminal counts. Bond denied due to flight risk and extreme danger. She addressed court claiming vendetta against her actions. Judge Morrison detailed crimes and pattern of destruction. I noted her admission for sentencing purposes effectively. Gallery applauded as justice was served decisively. 2 years later, Bryn serves life without parole. Trials, swift convictions on all counts with restitution. Community transformed with transparency and protective new bylaws. Legislation passed in multiple states, preventing future abuses. Scholarship in Herald's name supports future community lawyers. Festival celebrates triumph with education and ongoing support. Many copycat criminals arrested using our successful model. Gavel thrives, garden blooms, community healed and stronger. Message to others: document, organize, and fight back courageously. Your story could inspire and save many others.